What is the meaning of Easter?
Well, we celebrate Easter because Jesus lives. He died on the cross for our sins and he rose from the dead 3 days later.
How did you learn about the meaning of Easter?
I would say mostly from my parents, but also just growing up being in church and Sunday school.
Do you consider Good Friday to be good? If yes, why? If no, why?
Yes, if you think about what happened on Good Friday, the events that occurred are sad, but it was a good day because Jesus sacrificed himself for all of us because he loves us and wants us to be free from sin.
Who was at the cross when Jesus was crucified?
Jesus' mother, Mary Magdalene, and also John, the beloved disciple.
Who was not at the cross when Jesus was crucified?
All the other disciples were not there because they got scared and ran away after Jesus' arrest.
Who was Pilate? Oh. Who was
Pilate? So Pilate gave the final order for Jesus' crucifixion, even though he really didn't see any need to condemn Jesus to die on the cross. But really he was just trying to please the crowd because the crowd was mad and wanted the crowd wanted Jesus to be crucified, so Pilate just went along with it.
Why was the chief priest upset with Jesus?
He mostly just perceived Jesus as a threat to his authority. He didn't want Jesus to take over his role.
What is the name of the meal Jesus shared with his disciples the night that he was arrested?
The Last Supper or the Lord's Supper.
Why did Jesus have to die on the cross?
So Jesus' death on the cross was the ultimate price that he paid for all of our sins because he loves us so much.
What are two of the 7 statements Jesus made from the cross?
So the first 2 that popped into my head, and probably the most common 2, were Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, and it is finished.
What details can you give me about a Roman crucifixion?
So I know it was a brutal form of punishment that was very humiliating. They made the person carry the cross to the place where they were going to be crucified. They nailed both of their wrists, not their palms, but actually their wrists to the cross, and their feet as well. And then sometimes it took days for them to actually die.
How many days was Jesus in the tomb?
3 days, from Friday evening to Sunday morning.
If you were telling someone about Easter, how would you describe Easter to them and its meaning?
So I would say Easter is definitely my favorite holiday, not only because it's a time that we always spend with family and it's a big church day, it's always a fun day, but I love to explain to people that Easter is celebrated because of what Jesus did for us. Not only did he die on the cross for our sins, but then he rose again 3 days later, that he lives within us, he lives inside us, and